Hello, beautiful Army of Light Earth Division, the boots on the ground. It's Shawna L. Francis, and today is November 26th, 2024. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's edition of Decoding the Living Word with Melchizedek. We're walking through the book of Revelation, almost chapter by chapter here, and we are untangling this craziness and applying it to today's ascension process. And who better to explain these things than the Order of Melchizedek, the author of Revelation, the author of Genesis. Happy Thanksgiving to you who celebrate in the United States and other places. It is a beautiful time of year to give thanks, be in joy, show gratitude for everything, all your abundance, this amazing body, what we get to do here on the planet, the fact that we are awake, that we know who we are in truth, what we are in truth, how we serve in truth. Truly so many things to be thankful for. And I know that for me personally, embodying gratitude as just a way of being has completely changed my life. So I encourage you to give that a try if you don't already. Sit down and be very deliberate, very conscious about all the wonderful things you've got going on in your world and all the help we have here from our guides, all this guidance, this ascension process, understanding who we are in terms of being free, sovereign, in choice. So much to be thankful for. It can change everything if you just decide, you know what, I am absolutely full of gratitude and just exuding that out. So I encourage that. Speaking of which, thank you all so much for being here. It's been a pretty tough series, I have to say, for me personally, talking through the Bible. I've been really not familiar with the Bible, haven't learned a whole lot as I've gone through this lifetime about the Bible, all by design, I guess, because they needed me to not have predefined ideals and opinions and deep-rooted beliefs about the Bible. So I'm coming in here kind of a little bit ignorant and learning so much each week with all of you as we talk through this with Melchizedek. Today we are moving on from chapter 11 to chapter 12. And also I've asked the question of Melchizedek, how do the negative reptilians actually technically feed on our fear energy, the luge? So I just had that question kind of swirling around, and I finally asked this question today. So after I talk about what they channeled for the Bible, I'll go in and let you know what was channeled for that question. How do the negative reptilians actually use the fear energy? So that's quite fascinating. Okay, so last week we talked about the two prophets, and Melchizedek saying, actually, it's you and it's Paul Selig. You're our modern day prophets for the ascension process for Melchizedek. What an honor. Embarrassing, I must say, but I'm just adding it to a big laundry list of incredible things that are going on in my world in terms of this relationship with Melchizedek, in terms of what we're learning about the ascension. I don't even know where to start. I've definitely this last week have been in this place of really pondering what I'm doing and how I'm doing it and how things are unfolding in my world. And a great thing is that I'm really realizing that everything that's happening for me, really, it's for my highest good. So that allows me to kick back and relax a little bit. And as I've talked about many, many times before, being in control, having control, the safety, all the needs of the ego have been my main drivers my whole life. I'm a Capricorn, I'm a firstborn, I'm a type A, have been, and I'm, recovering from all these things, and I'm learning to live in the flow and not know the answers and be okay with ambiguity and kind of relax and allow life to come to me versus me molding and shaping it as I go. And it's been huge for me to kind of embody that kind of a lifestyle. So, we're talking more about going through this portal to this other planet. So if you've been watching me for a while, it's been a few months, but Melchizedek had me talk about this in a channeling for all of you. Losing weight, kind of getting ready. They say really they're going to try to do this within the next 6 months. And it's a long shot. There's a good chance that this isn't going to do anything. It's not going to happen the way they're expecting. They are assuring me that I will be safe, that all precautions have been taken to make sure that my body's not going to rip apart in this portal, and I can get to this other planet safely. So, and I mean, just talking about it out loud, it's like, but why not? We're talking about all these other things. Let's just add this to the list. So that's going on. They said it's going to take 50 minutes for me to make this portal journey. And the best way they can describe it is though I'm going through it like on a bullet train. That's what that's going to feel like. So that's about all the information that they've given me. I'm going to have to travel somewhere to get to this portal, and we're going to see what happens. And it sounds like I'll be able to bring cameras and take pictures. I don't know. So that's going on. My union with Melchizedek, absolutely beautiful. I'm beyond joy with this, and so in love, and feeling just, very comfortable with the relationship that we've fostered, kind of where we're going with the work, the mission. And, I've given them a ton of trust. I will say, it's one of the things that I kind of grapple with. Like they're really truly in my consciousness. We are sharing this consciousness. They are here and answering questions before I have even had a chance to fully form the question, for example. And, like they mentioned last week in their channeling, they want to carry me. They want to take care of me. They want to really just allow me to focus on this work and not have any worries, any cares, just allow them to kind of take the reins. And I'm just really trusting here with this, and it's not easy. It's not easy for me to do that. But so far so good. I'm actually quite loving it. All right, so let me get into, thanks again guys for being here. Thanks for all your comments and your support, all your love. Everybody, when I talked about, being one of the prophets, I'm so supportive and loving. I was so nervous about that. I really hated putting out last week's video. But we're just rolling with it here. So anyway, I'm really glad that you're here. I just want to say it one more time. Okay. Chapter 12 of the Bible in Revelation. And then we'll get into the question about how the negative reptilians harvest our fear energy. All right, so I'm going to read quite a bit of 12 here for all of you. It's really getting to the nitty gritty, and I'll read through this. And if you haven't heard it already, it's going to be like, oh yeah, this all is making sense based on what we know about the negative reptilian regime here. All right. I'm still getting over this cold, so I'm hoping not to cough, but here we go. And a great portent appeared in the heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. She was with child, and she cried out in her pangs of birth, in anguish for delivery. And another portent appeared in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon with 7 heads, and 10 horns, and 7 diadems upon his heads. His tail swept down a third of the stars of heaven, and cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was about to bear a child, that he might devour her child when she brought it forth. She brought forth a male child, one who is to rule all the nations with a rod of iron. But her child was caught up to God and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by God in which to be nourished for 1,260 days. Verse 7. Now war arose in heaven, Michael and his angels, fighting against the dragons. And the dragon and his angels fought, but they were defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. And the great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent, who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. He was thrown down to the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him. And I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, Now the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ have come. For the accuser of our brethren has been thrown down, who accuses them day and night before our God. And they have conquered him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, for they loved not their lives even unto death. Rejoice then, O heaven, and you that dwell therein. But woe to you, O earth and sea, for the devil has come down to you in great wrath, because he knows that his time here is short. All right, so that's really what we covered today in this channeling. And here's Melchizedek. Thank you, dear one. A woman crying out in anguish. Stars being cast from the sky. Michael and the serpent battling it out in heaven. Vivid imagery. What once sounded so outlandish, now coming into a bit more focus as new understandings are applied. Michael, indeed Archangel Michael, wielding his sword of truth, cutting through all that is illusion. The serpent, who is also called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world, of course, the negative reptilian regime. Light versus dark, good versus evil, the age-old parable, the protagonist and the antagonist. And as with most parables, we prefer that the protagonist wins, but always there is sacrifice. There are challenges and tribulations. If it were a straight path to victory, there wouldn't be much of a story. The pregnant woman giving birth to a child, the one who would rule with a rod of iron. Indeed, Mother Earth, working with her partners, the moon and the sun, celestial beings in their own right. The child, all who live and breathe here on this planet, for all have said yes to this ascension, even if some will not be taking a conscious, active role in this process. Excuse me. These times that you find yourselves in are troubling times for humanity. We are at the point where the great ancient serpent is indeed realizing their time here is short. Chapter 12, verse 12. But woe to you, O earth and sea, for the devil has come down to you in great wrath, because he knows that his time is short. As the light intensifies, this regime amplifies their efforts to control and dampen. Troubling times, dear friends. This is the beginning of the end of days, where this dark regime still believes that they have a way out of this ascension. They are in denial. But as their grip slips oh so consistently from this stronghold they once had, panic will set in. Their tactics will become more brazen and more destructive. There will come a day, dear friends, where the truth will be known beyond a shadow of a doubt, when humanity sees themselves as source, the kingdom of God within. Let it be known that the trials and tribulations of today will lead to exoneration, rapture, and freedom tomorrow. It shall be so. All right, so there you have the channeling for the Bible for today. Chapter 12, almost to the end of chapter 12. What is great about this very small and poignant part of the Bible here is that it seems to be really bringing together everything we've talked about with Revelation up to this point, and there's still a lot of incredible imagery to come. light versus dark, the serpents, the fighting in heaven being cast down here, and them realizing, okay, our days are numbered here, our time is short, so we're going to turn it up and we are going to make this as difficult as possible. It's everything the Galactic Federation has talked about. It's everything Melchizedek and other folks I've channeled have talked about. And knowing that we've got some rough times ahead. We are in the times of trouble. Dolores Cannon, she was an incredible light worker here, and many of us know of her work. If you haven't looked up Dolores Cannon, I highly recommend it. She did a lot of work with people under hypnosis who talked about the ascension and talked about a lot of these things. And she would always say, we're in the times of trouble. I think that's how she phrased it. Anyway, we do know from recent channelings on Revelation with the 7 seals leading up to this point that the next 100 years are supposed to be more of the same of what's going on today, just amplified. Then in 4 to 5 generations, they are predicting a massive war. A massive war here that is really going to finally be that catalyst that unifies us and really helps us to realize that this is not the way for humanity. We cannot keep doing this. And that's really when the biggest part of our awakening will happen. Remember, team, we're in a 1,000-year cycle. We're just beginning this 1,000-year cycle. And Melchizedek has also said that many of us will continue to incarnate over and over again during this 1,000 years to get us to this point where we can have a successful well, you know, a seeding of the 5D earth with 5D humanity. And as many folks as they can awaken right now, the better. We are, each and every person is helping to make this ascension possible. It's not like, oh, it's happening out there. This other group is taking care of this. I don't have to worry. I can just sit on the sidelines and be a voyeur here. I don't really actually need to participate. That's really not true. Everybody who has access to these messages, who are drawn to these messages about the negative reptilian order, these frequencies from the Galactic Federation of Light and from Melchizedek, you know, you're here for a reason. Go ahead and answer the call. Let's do this thing. And really, what are we talking about? We are exchanging fear for love. Always love, unconditional love, first for self and then for others. This isn't about getting on a soapbox or trying to change other people. It's about how you embody the light, how you walk the walk, and how you talk the talk. And again, it's embracing where everybody else is at in their journey. This is not about you being right and other people being wrong. So I think most of us have gotten that over the years. We're understanding this quite deeply. And we're also understanding just how important it is that we understand who and what we are in truth and who and what everybody else is in truth. This is how we get through these times. And remember, there's this bifurcation happening between the light and the dark, kind of the awakened, the unawakened, knowing that everybody's exactly where they need to be at this particular time. If they're meant to awaken, they will. If they're meant to follow the light, they will. If they're meant to hear these messages, they will. So it's really just trusting that everything is unfolding in the way that it's supposed to. And we're also here in this phase of disclosure. This is seeding of consciousness. It's becoming aware of the negative reptilian regime, even that it exists, and not to mention all the incredible things that they are responsible for here on the planet. We're seeding consciousness with this information that it can be better put to use by future generations. So really, in the way I see it, team, is that we're in a beautiful place right now. If you've got anything on your bucket list that you want to do, places you want to visit, places you want to move to, things you want to see, I say now's a great time to do that. It has been predicted that there will be a massive financial collapse going on. It's predicted that a massive solar flare is going to take out our power grids around the world for a time. You know, we're preparing for these things. Things only get more intense from here. So do all the amazing things that you want to do. Also, we've been asked to unplug from mass media, and we're talking Netflix, we're talking sports, we're talking commercials, we're talking the news. Social media, really limiting all of that, really limiting your exposure to the fear-based programs that are just being poured down our throats from this regime. All right, you get all that. Okay, thanks for letting me spout off about that. All right, I'm going to switch gears here, and I'm going to get into the question that I asked them today, which has just been kind of in my mind. You know, how in the heck do they actually use our fear energy? And my computer has decided to freeze here. Give me just a moment, guys. Here we go. Yeah, my computer just decided to freeze. Okay, one more time. Is this how it's going to go? I'm just going to start having weird technical issues derail me. Oh, goodness. Sorry, team. I really don't want to start this video over. All right. Here we go. I've got it. Okay. All right, simply my question was, how do the negative reptilians harvest our fear energy? Okay, it's a big question, dear one, they said. Imagine, if you will, Shawna, that this fear energy creates its own magnetism, its own congruent field, and it can draw more fear to it, much like a magnet. This particular resonance attracts other consciousness of the same resonance. Imagine almost a standalone field dense with this particular frequency. And as it is emoted from humanity, it is quote unquote collected, if you will, in this field of consciousness. And this field of consciousness can also be commanded by consciousness, by intention, by will. They continue here. They say, you could imagine that this fear energy is collected in a repository to be tapped into by the negative reptilians. It is tended to, it is nurtured, it is maintained, and it is amplified. Remember, they said that the negative reptilians are master energy manipulators, alchemy, if you will. Imagine this repository of energy created by humans on Earth over millennia. It's used hierarchically by this regime, with those at the top getting unfettered access to this field, and as you go down in the ranks, you have less access. But indeed, it does get spread around the species for their benefit. One thing about the frequency of fear is that it's easy to grow more fear from this frequency. This repository of fear is often used directly on humanity to generate even more fear. It is a vicious cycle. And then they paused there, and I said, thank you, Melchizedek, and I had a few follow-up questions for them. I said, can you tell me technically how they tap into this field, and what does it do for them? And they talked about some of this before. All right. They said, certainly, dear one. Through will, through intention, the highest ranking members of the regime are able to bring parts of this repository of fear energy into their direct auric field, so kind of into their personal energy field. It is extremely powerful for the individual reptilian, and they feel it like a rush of adrenaline, a rush of power. It invigorates every cell of their body, and it's quite euphoric. Great care is taken by those with the most access to this repository so that they don't lose themselves in the abundance, in the abundant fear energy. That's how powerful this energy is. They don't want to lose themselves, so they're careful. They take care when they use this energy. And they continue here. There are protocols in place and usage is monitored. Those who tend to and keep the fear repository tightly control and monitor usage and who is receiving such energy. I really had no idea that it was so, it was such a process and that it was this formal for them. I said, thank you, Melchizedek. I said, where are these reptilians who are taking advantage of this fear energy that we're generating? They said, Dear One, these reptilians are on your planet, a small number living at your north and south poles. Okay, they've talked about that before. But they said mostly they are on ships that are relatively close in proximity to Earth. The negative reptilian command centers resides on the ships. This is where the hive mind control originates. Okay. I said, thank you. I said, what about the black box technology that we've come into contact with before doing missions and some of these other concepts such as the lake of fire and brimstone where souls are kept for eternity? I said, where do those fit in? They said, so much fear, dear one, is generated in these areas of consciousness, all of it to be collected, to be harvested, and to be consumed. You know, I did ask about these rituals, the ritualistic abuse of children, and specifically what's going on there energetically. And I won't go into too much detail, but basically I asked about this and they said that they're right in the moment during these rituals, the fear energy is being consumed right there on the spot by the negative reptilians who are actually in charge of kind of running the show there through hive mind control or mind manipulation. So in real time, they're feeding on that energy and they're also collecting it. So there's more than enough than what they would need in real time. So the rest of this is actually, it's collected. And according to Melchizedek, they're saying it actually continues to grow and be active after it's been captured. So I didn't go in too much detail with that, but yeah, they say this extreme anguish and fear actively lives on in this repository as consciousness that is quite potent for the negative reptilian. Once added to the whole, fear from that ritual event grows exponentially when added to the other similar frequencies. So it just is this gnarly consciousness that is, it's like almost alive, and it can be manipulated through will, through consciousness, and the negative reptilians are really, really good at this. I had said, I said, what if all of this fear energy in this repository were somehow to be unleashed on humanity? What if it were to get out or be opened up? And they said, well, the negative reptilians do use this field to instill more fear into humanity in small doses. If it were to be unleashed, as you say, or opened up, the energy would be short-lived as the high vibration of the planet, of the sun, of the solar system, of this region, and of all the light being supporting this planet would quickly transmute it to light. So it's not like it would be too devastating. It would be transmuted fairly quickly. I said, have we ever tried to do this? Have we tried to open this repository up in this way? They said, no, dear one, only bits and pieces at a time. They said here, as long as the negative reptilians are in the field and doing what they do, attempts to rid this plane of existence of this energy would not be successful for long. As there's so much fear being generated, they would just replenish their coffers. We feel it's best to allow them to maintain what they have, which will then be transmuted during the ascension process. Okay, and so remember too that, I mean, one of the biggest reasons why we are going through this ascension process is to rid this plane of existence of these ETs, of the negative reptilian regime. They cannot function at the 5D level. Melchizedek has said they are at the 3D level, but they are highly technologically advanced, and they have advanced skills in terms of energy use and manipulation. It's their thing. All right, so again, the ascension process is going to free all the trapped souls and all this energy, and it will be done. All right. I said, you know, what if somebody says, hey, I think my dad is reptilian, or I think my neighbor is reptilian. I say, what's going on with this, you know, technically? What is this? And they said, Well, there are various degrees of manipulation happening. Most will be human, but they will be manipulated to some degree by the negative reptilian stronghold on humanity's psyche on this field. This can also be passed on from generation to generation. They said here, of course, you have the bloodlines who are very much owned and in tune with the negative reptilian regime on many levels, but born into human bodies. And then you have other humans who are in accord with the negative reptilian regime's agenda through manipulation and subjugation, as we have mentioned. Very few actual reptilians are on the planet, they said. It's mostly through mind control that they are here. Okay. And I said, one more time, Melchizedek, what do we do if we come into contact with somebody we feel is under this manipulation? I said, it's all about love, dear one, unconditional love. Resist the desire to change them or to fix them or to wake them up. Hold the space of unconditional love from your place of truth and knowing, and any negative influence they may be hoping to exert over you or to infect you with will be negated by your love. All right, they've talked about that before. So that's a lot. We haven't gotten into the nitty-gritty of the negative reptilian stuff like this in a while. Since we started the Bible series, we've gone through it in terms of how it relates to Genesis and Revelation. But yeah, this was just something I felt like I wanted to have answered, and we got an answer. Okay, kind of incredible information, really. It feels kind of normal for those of us who've been walking this path for a while. But certainly it's not normal. It's anything but normal, and it's devastating, really, what's going on. And waking up to this can be really tough. I'm here for you if you would like some support. I do one-on-one sessions for donations. I set up a Zoom, and we will sit down for an hour together, and we can go through whatever's on your mind. We pull in your guides, we pull in my guides, our guides. We create a collective field together, and we dig into what's going on. We're peeling layers. And a lot of wonderful insights can come through with this process. So yeah, shoot me an email, guys, or contact me through my website, shawnalfrancis.com. Okay, how are you doing? I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're amazing. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving if you celebrate that. I'm so thankful for all of you. I love you so much. I will see you next week. Mwah.